Hello, boys. Welcome back. Today we are going to see reactions due to glucose and fructose. Yesterday we saw structure of glucose, how glucose is classified. Today we will see certain reactions and also establish how these reactions help us establish the structure of the glucose. Okay. Uh, Initially, again I will review this. We know very well the reactions of glucose are due to functional groups such as aldehyde and ketone. These two are the very reactive groups in the particular molecule apart from OH groups. OH is hydroxyl groups, but the reactive groups are CO, keto group, and others. So let us have a look at the structure and go to the screen sharing where I will be writing you on the board about the types of reactions that we face. So here it is, reactions of glucose and fructose. Let me first establish the empirical structure. It comes to about C6H12O6 and we establish it as CHO, CHOH 4 times and CH2. So it can be expanded to read by written and can be expanded and written like this. CH 4 times and then CH2. Now this is an optically active compound. This is an optically active compound means I think you know what is meant by optically active compound. Optically active compound has the capacity to rotate the plane polarized light PPL towards left or towards right. So what is rotated to the right, we call it as the dextrorotatory. What is rotated to the right? Levorotatory. Therefore, you have D glucose as well as L glucose. These things you'll see in the establishment. But here I would like to mention that we represent this structure by means of an asterisk, and we call it as the. So I'm sharing the screen here. So I forgot to share. This recording is just closing it again. Sharing the board. Yes, here it is. So I think now you can see the board. So here is this. So I was telling that we have the empirical formula C6H12O6. We expand it like this, and then again further expand it like this. And I was telling that we have a plane polarized light which measures the optical rotatory dispersion or density and gives you isomers. The isomer is the D isomer, dextrorotatory, and L isomer. So I'm just again expanding it and then writing it here like this. C double bond H. Okay, C H 3 4 5 6. This is it. So you can have in all these things. You can have the for example, I can put OH on the right side and then right side, right side, and then left side. OH here, then H here, H here, H here. So I'm going to count this: first carbon, second carbon, third carbon, fourth carbon, carbon. This is so you can count for the 6 carbon atoms there, and then you have 12 hydrogen atoms there, and then 6 hydrogen atoms there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I was mentioning this is the most reactive groups. Reactive group. You can have other reactions due to OH. OH is an alcoholic group. So there is a biochemical reaction which converts the glucose or the starch that you consume into alcohol. So our body is capable of converting alcohol, converting glucose into alcohol for the purpose of sedation. Sedation means, it is a kind of process that starts at the night and it's the digestion. Yesterday I was telling serotonin is a protein which also helps this particular process. So you also have H here. Unless H goes as H plus, it is not reactive. The most reactive part we are going to see is because of the C double bond only. And this is asymmetric carbon atom. Symmetric means it has got 4 different groups attached to carbon atom. Valency of carbon atom is 4. Okay, valency of carbon atom is 4. So if you have all the 4 as H, 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 and then this is purely symmetric in nature. If you have 4 different groups, here we consider this as 1, this as 2nd, and this entire pod as a triad group. This is an asymmetric carbon atom, therefore the reactions when the symmetric carbon atom can be attributed from here, from here, from here, here. Later I will explain. But here, what is happening is we have 2 types of configuration. One is the relative configuration, and the other one is absolute configuration. I think you might have come across this, but anyway, I will just repeat it because we are going to deal with this. Absolute means anything which is perfect, which is having something very logical and scientific. Relative means you relate it. How we relate it is we have got an alcohol, ethylene glycol, or glycerol, CHO. This is an example we usually take. This is example in which you will see that CS2OH is at the bottom, OH is at the right side, H is on the left side. So you call it as the D isomer. The same thing you take it here. You can see CH2OH is at the bottom, H is on the right, OH is on the left. Therefore, this becomes in relation to this becomes an R isomer. However, if I change this to OH and place it as H here, it becomes a D isomer. So this is the general structural establishment of the glucose unit. So let me tell you the first reactions which we often see is that of glucose due to just trying some stable connection is there. So the first reaction which I am going to tell you is, okay, let me take the reduction. What are the reagents that we use for reduction? The reagents which we use for reduction is, we will mention it by hydrogen like this, and then we use sodium in alcohol. Okay, sodium in alcohol, and then we also use sodium borohydride, lithium aluminum hydrate, something like this, lithium aluminum hydrate. So in the first part of the reaction, if I just take C6H12O6 glucose and treat it with sodium borohydride in NaBH4, I'm just going to get one isomer which will have hydrogen atom added to this. Like for example, we just take this CO, like this. So you will have CHOH 4 times, and then you will have CH2OH. So this will be converted into CH2OH again, and then CH and then CH2. So you can see that this particular group is being converted into kind of alcohol. This alcohol is called as the sorbitol. I think you might have heard of this sorbitol is a kind of alcohol that they use mostly in tonics, or in some cough syrups. They have this because this is a chemical. So if you don't use alcohol, even though we do not use alcohol, the glucose in presence of certain reducing agents like sodium borohydride or sodium in ethanol, they just reduce it. Or some enzymes are there inside the body which will convert this C6H12O6 into completely into the sorbitol. This is the first reaction that we see. So this is the reduction. The second reaction which we often see is the oxidation. In the oxidation, we usually use mild oxidizing agent as well as the simple oxidizing agent. Let me take the example of the simple oxidizing agent as we are used to know, bromine in water. If you use glucose treated with bromine water, you get gluconic acid with a molecular formula of C6H12. So this is the gluconic acid. So here first product due to is we got is sorbitol. The second product we get is the gluconic acid. So only one oxygen has been added, and you know where this oxygen is added. It's simple. We have got COOH here. Okay. This is the lateral part. This here we are adding oxygen. So you get HCO. That is the COOH you get. So this is in fact a kind of carboxylic acid. There are other oxidizing agents like, for example, KMnO4, K2Cr2O7. We call them as the drastic oxidation. In the drastic oxidation, they convert every part into the they can convert every available center in the molecule into. For example, oxidation is also a process of removal of electron. Okay. Removal of electron. Oxidation is a process of removal of electron, and reduction is the addition of electron also as well as the hydrogen. So when you add bromine in water, you put gluconic acid. The hydrogen that is added is resulting in conversion of CHO group into COOH. Aldehyde is converted into an oxide. So there aldehyde was converted into alcohol. So you should not forget it. The third most important reactions which I am going to tell you is reaction with acetate or acetic acid. This is important in the sense that we have got a structure like this. CHO, CHOH, 4 times, and then CH2. So you can see that this OH is 4 times and this OH is 5th times, right? So you have got 5 OH groups there. 5 OH groups there. So what happens is when you add acetic acid here, this is converted into CHO, CHCOO, CH3. CH2, COO, CH3. This is 4 times and this is 1 time. So what you get? Penta-acetate derivative. Penta-acetate derivative. Now the penta-acetate derivative is a proof. What is a proof of that? It's a proof that the penta-acetate derivative suggests that there are 5 hydroxyl groups. 5 hydroxyl. The oxidation and reduction suggested there is a reactive carbonyl group, and this one is suggesting that you have got 5 hydroxyl groups. All the 5 hydroxyl groups are very reactive. Therefore, glucose is a pentahydroxy derivative. Okay, here. So that is the fourth reaction. And when you use some excess, okay, in the presence of some pyridine, this is some kind of mild. Like for example, in the case of if you use pyridine, it's a kind of catalyst. It will convert and give you into hexa acetate. But we are not going to that. We do every reactions which is STP. In chemistry, we consider all the reactions as STP as equal to standard temperature and pressure. Temperature is 300 Kelvin, pressure is 1 atmosphere. So under these conditions, these reactions are taking place unless you define them, right? So by this way we have established that it is having 5 hydroxyl groups, 1 reactive Kilo groups. Okay. The fourth very important reactions that I am going to mention here is reaction with hydrogen iodide. Of course, this reaction is a kind of in the presence of heat, and it is used to reductively remove oxygen. Reductively, so it's kind of a reduction reaction. That means, if you have C6H12O6 and you are adding hydrogen iodine and you are heating it, what do you get? C6H12. So this is normal hexane. That is how we call it as the normal hexane. What is the difference between normal hexane and other hexane? In the other hexane, you will have cyclohexane. Once you have the cyclohexane, you will have chair form, board form, and then so many other derivatives, CEA, etc., etc., etc. But normal hexane tells you that it's not benzene. Benzene you will have just like this. You know all this, you will have two hydrogens at each place. Okay, it's a normal hexane. So it's not cyclic also. It's not cyclic. It's not cyclic. Okay, that means it's a kind of CH2, 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 long chain CH2, CH2. Okay, you have to add to balance. Whenever you draw a formula, you have to check that the balance of carbon is maintained. Here all you have the valency of carbon as equal to 4 at every place. Here you have, here you have, here you have, and here you have. Okay, but here you remove this hydrogen. This is one hydrogen. This is another hydrogen, and you have to add another hydrogen here. Likewise, you have to add one hydrogen here, another hydrogen here, another hydrogen. So you get CH3 terminals, and that will get chain. But when you have to remove this hydrogen as well as this hydrogen, you can join them and it becomes a cyclic compound. So N-hexane, formation of N-hexane suggests that glucose is having a simple monounit of glucose is having a long chain structure. You must note that I am just mentioning this as a open chain. We are not taking any polymer. We are not taking any sucrose unit. We are not taking any macromolecule. Macromolecules is a large molecule. We are just taking small molecules, and then we are studying the inner deepermost structure of this. Therefore, hydrogen iodide reductively removal of oxygen gives rise to hexane. Now, you can also suggest, it's a very important biological reaction. I would like to suggest that if you have CH3, CH2, 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 CH3, it's an alkane. Okay. What is an alkane? An alkane is a hydrocarbon. Okay. What is the biological form of hydrocarbon? Biological form of hydrocarbon is fat. Okay, if you consume too much sugar, this is sugar. Okay, if you consume too much sugar, and there are certain enzymes, certain enzymes that do not break it. There are no enzymes. There is zero activity. There is no activity in you. The sugar is converted into fat. Look at this relationship, beautiful relationship. Sugar is converted into fat. This fat is what you call it as the that gets deposited in so many places inside the. And this is not to be confused with LDL, HDL cholesterol. LDL, HDL cholesterol. It's a separate kind of fat which is found in oil. I think this is quite similar to hydrogenation of oils. Hydrogenation of oil. In the hydrogenation of oils, you'll have double bonds here and there, in this place and at this place. So using temperature and some catalyst, it will be converted into single bonded compound. As long as you have double bonded compounds, they are unsaturation, they are reactive, they can be removed from your body. But once saturation comes like this, it becomes a fat and that gets deposited. So you got two beautiful information from this. One is that the open chain structure of glucose is linear, has got a 6 carbon atom. And then the second thing is sucrose and glucose can be converted into a fat that is not good for health biologically. Therefore, if there is absence of activity and there is absence of insulin, this sugar will be converted into the fat. Therefore, you have to avoid taking fat. So I think we have seen the uh, the important reactions like addition. I mean that is reduction, oxidation, acetyl derivative, and then the last we have seen the HI. Okay, one more reaction that should support our this structure of glucose as C double bond O is a fifth reaction. I would call it as the addition reaction. Call it as the addition reaction. Then this addition reaction, you can remember this. This is the top part. Lower part I'm not writing. When you add HCN, it easily forms HCN. This word forms in groups and then so you have to remove this. Okay, you have to use word. Remove this part. So this particular part is very essential because CN can be converted into COH. CN can be converted into COH. This is also called as the cyanohydrin. If you go to any pharma industry, any particular industry, they will ask you to monitor, they will ask you to increase the carbon chain. Increase the carbon chain. What is that increase in carbon chain? You have got C6 here. Okay. Now when you add CN to this is an addition extra. So it becomes C7. So you can convert C6 carbon into C7 carbon atom. Further, you can add HCN, convert it into C8 carbon atom. Further, you can add HCN, convert it into C9 atoms. Every additional step, you should have C double bond O and should react with HCN. C double bond O react with HCN. And every time you can see that you are getting higher homolog. This you need to remember. There are certain things which you should not forget. Okay, if you do not forget the reactions, well and good. But important things like HCN is used to convert lower homolog into higher homolog is a very good point. A very good point to remember. Okay, you also call this chain lengthening reaction. Chain is being lengthening. Chain lengthening reaction. becomes very essential in when you want to add synthesis in new molecule, pharmacologically significant molecule. You have to add extra carbon atom and you have to increase the chain length in different directions. And further, the best part they use is the potassium cyanide. In our college also, we used to have potassium cyanide, but we stopped the synthesis of higher molecules. And because it is very poisonous, immediately see that as it removes all the uh, hemoglobin's oxygen, goes and sits there, forms a very stable complex. As soon as the oxygen of the entire blood is removed, the asphyxiation takes place and the deployal of oxygen leads to metabolic death. So therefore, there were chances that could be misused, so we avoided using SCM for conversion reactions. But you can remember that C double bond O group is a very essential group, and you can always add SCM. Sometimes they give potassium. In MSc, you will have this potassium cyanide to convert C6, even C5 into C6 or even C4 into C5, lower homolark or higher homolark. That is a chain lengthening reactions in which you can add an extra carbon atom and then do the synthesis of the reactions. Okay, so to sum up, we have seen 5 reactions, and in these 5 reactions, we have tried to establish the structure of the glucose. How? First thing is, we say there is a reactive carbonyl group. You prove it by reduction, you prove it by oxidation, you prove it by cyanohydrin formation. Okay, so that's very reactive. And the rest of the 2 reactions are, sorry, this is looking out. The rest of the 2 reactions are, you see, this acetic acid. Pentacetate derivative has been formed. Pentacetate derivative suggests there are 5 hydroxy groups. So you have got 5 hydroxy groups, that is the suggestion there. And then reaction with HI in the presence of pyridine or in the presence of heat gives rise to N-hexane. The N-hexane suggests that there are about 6 carbon atoms in the monomer unit of the glucose or open chain structure. Glucose actually has got a very long cyclic structure like those factors. Keeps on connecting. Okay, like this. So they run into thousands, 10,000, 80,000, sometimes 80,000 a second. We are just seeing only one chain. So we call it as a mono chain or single unit, because single unit often can be easily separated by any drastic reactions. So we need to study the reactions. So glucose is very essential. So I also told the biologically important, that is that if you have sugar and no activity at all the sugar will be converted into fat. All the sugar will be converted into fat. This fat deposits, and this is a fat that is not good for regular health. The same glucose can be converted in the presence of bromine or some other salts or some other enzymes into alcohol. We can use sorbitol. Sorbitol is a very good sedative, and this is used for removing free radicals into the body. Okay, so we have seen the reactions due to glucose, and stop it here. The students who have not joined this class may see this in the in the YouTube that I'm going to share after this recording. Thank you. Any doubts you can have, you can ask me.